What's up, Bulls Nation? My name is Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, apparently NBA teams across the entire league are looking at the Chicago Bulls as potential trade targets could be selected, since the Chicago Bulls are on a apparent downfall. We're going to be discussing these things, ladies and gentlemen, in this video. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and the apparent downfall we might be facing. Now, this is a report, multiple reports to be fair, coming out about this situation, suggesting that this sudden downfall that the Chicago Bulls are going through is making NBA teams look at us as we could potentially be blowing up this team at some point in time. And first and foremost, the first thing I want to get out of the way in this instance is how they could possibly think this downfall is sudden. I mean, I think last year kind of spoke for itself as well. We finished 10th in the Eastern Conference. We were just all around a not really good team at all. And we've translated over that from last season to this season. At the basic level, that's what we've done with the Chicago Bulls team, right? So this downfall is not sudden. In fact, I think this is the least sudden downfall anyone could have expected from an NBA team. Someone that was, yes, solid in the first season, finishing 6th in the Eastern Conference, to all the way falling down to 10th in the Eastern Conference last season, then having a really bad start to this season as well. This seems to be very, 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 I guess, predictable. Maybe it wasn't predictable, but at least the last word to give in this instance is sudden. So that's the first thing I want to get out of the way. If NBA teams are really looking at the Chicago Bulls to potentially look at trade acquisitions they could get, they should have been looking at the Bulls team for a long time. The only difference between now and, or actually, there's not even a difference. The only thing now that we're seeing is that maybe because of this bad start, the Bulls might change their mind on the team, which we know for a fact could happen. We've seen it with how Nikola Vucevic suggested this is the Big Three's last opportunity. Zach LaVine kind of mentioned the same thing. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan and his contract extension, that determines a lot for the Chicago Bulls as well. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's not been a sudden drop-off for the Chicago Bulls. It's been very gradual and very, very much expected at this point in time. We've seen it translate over for the Chicago Bulls for many, 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 many games now. So that's the first thing to take away. But secondly, why are they looking at the Chicago Bulls, I guess, for trade acquisitions? That's kind of the key of this video. What's the idea there? Well, essentially, this team doesn't necessarily work together, if you know what I mean. The Big Three for the Chicago Bulls have one of the worst net ratings in the NBA. In terms of the Big Three standpoint. Obviously, this Bulls team, outside of that, has not really shined in the development phases. So the young guys that we have, like a Patrick Williams, Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White, these young guys, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, they don't all develop really well, unfortunately. So that's another avenue we can look at. And the players that we do have, like an Alex Caruso, for example, that has had a really good, strong start to the season. Maybe guys like a Torrey Craig or Javon Carter, the new acquisitions. Some people might feel that they either don't work on this team or they're being wasted on this team. So in that way, there are multiple reasons why people are looking at the Chicago Bulls for trade acquisitions and maybe trying to get certain players from this Bulls team, just waiting for that collapse to happen. But just because this Bulls team doesn't work well together doesn't mean that these players are bad. It doesn't mean that these players won't work for other teams. That's why people are looking at the Chicago Bulls as potential packages. People will look and say, hey, Zach LaVine might work for our team. Let's see if the Chicago Bulls will be ready to blow up the team and start a rebuild. Then all of a sudden, Zach LaVine is an acquisition that could be achievable. DeMar DeRozan, contract extension and all. A team might be saying, hey, we're in a championship window at the moment. We could potentially use a guy like DeMar DeRozan as a one-year loan or a potential long-term investment. Let's make the trade. Let's show our dedication to DeMar DeRozan. Let's go try and win a championship. And maybe that's how DeMar DeRozan gets traded. Nikola Vucevic, hey, we need a center that's offensive-minded. We might not necessarily have the strongest depth in the center position. You know, Nikola Vucevic said himself that this team is at the stretch of the last opportunity. If it doesn't work, Nikola Vucevic could be available for trade. I still believe Dallas is a team that will love Nikola Vucevic. That's my own opinion. I don't have any inside knowledge on that, but I believe that's a possibility, and other teams around the league will do the same. And guys like Alex Caruso, I've said it in the past, every team is knocking on the door for Alex Caruso. You won't find an NBA team that wouldn't take him. Even a tanking team would take Alex Caruso because he provides leadership and he shows what hard work is all about. A lot of players could use that in the league, unfortunately. So Alex Caruso could be a guy that all 30 teams in the NBA would want. Even the Bulls might still want him, even if we're rebuilding. I'm not too sure. But that's another situation. And then obviously, if you're looking for a retool, guys like Patrick Williams become available, Kobe may become available, Ayo may become available. You trade younger guys to get more veterans in the team that can maybe work around and stuff of that nature. So there's literally trade targets everywhere for everybody, depending on what the Chicago Bulls want to do. And they're waiting for the downfall for the Chicago Bulls, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one or two things will happen because of this. Either A, they're going to wait and they're going to get what they want. That's the first thing. They're going to keep on waiting, be patient, but eventually, if the Bulls continue to play in this way, they will continue to struggle, they will continue to fall, and in the end, they will get what they want. Most likely, there will be changes made to the Chicago Bulls with how we are going. Or, for whatever reason, this Bulls team goes on a run, this Bulls team does really well, this Bulls team starts to compete, this Bulls team defies expectation, and then teams are waiting for nothing and they'll decide to move on to the next team that could be struggling, or the next team that might decide, hey, we need to go in a different direction and trade their players, and other teams will be waiting and knocking on the door for them. Right now, the Bulls, again, I consider the Chicago Bulls like a case study. Solve it if you can. It's a question on a test. See if you can answer it. Critically analyze the Chicago Bulls. You're going to get different answers from different people. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer in this. You can't just say trade DeMar to the Lakers because it's not as simple as that. And you can't say keep the team because clearly it's not as simple as that. Solve it if you can. Case study. Go ahead. Write it on a test. Go back to high school for a day and try to figure out the Chicago Bulls. Go on NBA 2K and try to rebuild this team if you can in the most realistic way possible, because clearly I couldn't do it when I did that type of video. But I'm not surprised that teams are waiting for our downfall. It's a brutal, brutal league, unfortunately. And teams are going to capitalize on the downfall. Not every team is going to say, hey, I want the Chicago Bulls to do well. I mean, again, it's a competitive business. You want the Bulls to do as worse as they possibly could if you're a different team out there. And it's going to happen with all 29 teams in the NBA because you want your team to win the championship. So they're going to wait for our downfall. They're going to wait for us to give up. They're going to wait for us to try and change things. And they will try to take advantage of that to better suit their agendas and their teams. And there's no harm in doing that for those teams. They're waiting for the Chicago Bulls. What are the Bulls waiting for? That's the next question. What are the Bulls waiting for in this instance? Are they waiting to see what the best potential outcomes out there? Are they waiting to make a change? Or are they hesitant and reluctant to make these types of changes and they want to keep the team the same because they truly believe in the team? I don't know what the answer is. We'll obviously know in due time. Of course, again, it's still very early, so I don't expect the Bulls to make any changes at this point in time. But we will know a lot more in a month. We'll know a lot more by January. We'll know a lot more by February. And we'll figure these things out. This team could look completely different in a month or 2 months' time. And maybe that's when the Bulls start to give up on this Bulls team. Let's wait and see. But what do you guys think of the potential downfall of the Chicago Bulls and these teams waiting for it? Don't have a problem with it at the end of the day. It's not like we haven't done that to different teams. We traded for Nikola Vucevic. We waited for Orlando's downfall. And they started to rebuild because of that. We traded our Thaddeus Young in a first for DeMar DeRozan, waiting for the San Antonio Spurs to rebuild and go on a downfall. We did the same thing with Lonzo Ball. The Pelicans were a team that was, you know, maybe didn't necessarily want him to be fair, but we got a very good trade for Lonzo Ball in that way when Lonzo, of course, was fully healthy. We waited for the Pelicans' downfall. We've done it to other teams, and other teams are going to do it to us. It is what it is. We're going to wait and see how and when it does happen. But thank you all so much for watching. Drop a like and a follow. And or subscribe if you are new. The downfall of the Chicago Bulls. I don't necessarily know if it's happened yet, but it's looking to head in that direction. So we'll see if the Bulls can change it. And if not, then we'll see how long it'll take for the inevitable to happen. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I will see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.